Z has sparked a fire in the hearts of African youth across the continent, compelling them to stand up for their rights. Their fearless and audacious defiance against the supposedly corrupt Kenyan government has emboldened young people in other African nations. In a recent turn of events, the Kenyan Gen Z has once again made waves by issuing a stern warning to the Kenyan president. This came on the heels of President Ruto's televised remarks, which have provoked intense frustration and resentment among the Kenyan Gen Z. Before I proceed further to elucidate President Ruto's remarks on television, I kindly request that you take a moment to watch this video clip featuring the opinion of the Kenyan Generation Z.
We promised to join you in last Tuesday's protest, and true to our words we did, and the results were loud and clear. We hereby thank all Kenyans who took part in the struggle and call upon the majority who remained at home to join us this week again. We promise again that this week's protests to occupy everywhere will be bigger than Ruto's ego. Ruto has conceded to our demands and dismissed the finance bill. Well and good, but we are not fools. A tomato that says it is an orange is still a tomato. We press on. In response to Ruto's threatening statements to the people of Kenya, our resolve has only grown stronger and is spreading wider than the gospel. Ruto's response does not depict that of a leader or a statesman, but that of a war criminal. You cannot declare war against 50 million Kenyans. We will defeat you. Usituuzie uoga. Deploying the military on us will not scare or stop millions of youths from taking back their country. We defeated the police. The military do not have tear gas or water cannons, and they cannot shoot at unarmed civilians. The KDF will be marching with us as witnessed last Thursday. No police will dare throw tear gas canisters at us while accompanied by our big brothers. When the music changes, so does the dance. Kenyans, the military are always for the people and not oppressive regimes. They are with you. Come out in large numbers once again. Occupy everywhere on Tuesday and Thursday. Therefore, Mr. Ruto, we repeat again. Tell your family to pack their clothes, utensils, and electronics and fly yonder while the going is good. You are not our leader. You are our killer. Is also around the...
Imagine being human is not hard, especially when you're in the position of being a president. You could have easily gotten a PR team to guide you through this interview process. It would not even have been hard for you to start the interview with condolences to the families affected. It would have helped if you knew the names of some of the victims. I mean, when you are a politician or when you are a president, kujifanya kidogo can't hurt. You had the power in your hands to diffuse the anger and the pain that the people are feeling. But because you have so much disdain for the electorate, you have so much disdain for the masses, you do not even think that they'll be able to see through your callousness, your lack of care, your lack of concern. Like, it is not even possible for you to hide that fact because you actually do not care about the very people who put you in office. How are you told that a 12-year-old boy was shot 12 bullets and then you ask they are still alive, right? Even if they are still alive, they have all those bullets on their body. Plus, how could they be alive, surely? What sort of question is that? Then talking about properties when you're being asked about human life. How do you process properties when you're being asked about human life? You're saying a kinyozi wrote you a message to say amepoteza kinyozi. Can we ask huyo kinyozi ama anaweza taka kulose life yake? Huyo mwenye anasema anaandikia president message. We have lost 2.4 billion. We have lost 2.4 billion. The lives we lost, which life amongst all those that were lost is worth that 2.4 billion? That is money you and your thieves, hizo zote zenye mmeiba, mnaweza fanya hapo mchango mrudishia hao business people. But all those mothers who've lost their kids, There is absolutely nothing that can be done for them to get their kids back. What are you telling us about properties? Who cares about properties? So you care about 2.4 billion getting wasted or getting looted or destroyed, but you do not care about the billions you and your cronies have stolen.
Hey Africa, did you know that you can earn money from YouTube without being a YouTuber? Even in Africa.
Now, during a recent televised interview, RUTO addressed the regrettable violence that occurred following the passing of unpopular tax increases. He announced a change in his stance, expressing his willingness to listen to the people, and stating that he wouldn't sign the finance bill into law. The violent incidents resulted in 19 casualties, marking the first official figures released by the authorities. RUTO assured a thorough investigation into the fatalities. While RUTO emphasized the peaceful nature of the demonstrations that turned violent, he also acknowledged the unfortunate turn of events and conveyed his disapproval. He distanced himself from any association with the bloodshed and emphasized the necessity of upholding democratic ideals. Assuring accountability, RUTO pledged to investigate each casualty and address any potential police misconduct. In the interview, RUTO lauded the efforts of law enforcement in managing the situation, affirming that any instances of undue force would be appropriately addressed. He emphasized the responsibility to bring to justice those responsible for attacking the parliament and judiciary, highlighting the use of surveillance footage to identify perpetrators. RUTO's assertion of capturing those involved in the violence underscored the swift action intended to uphold the rule of law and address the criminal actions that transpired. Upon revisiting his decision to withdraw the finance bill at the 11th hour, RUTO expressed, "It signifies a setback of nearly 2 years, indicating that the government would need to heavily rely on borrowing. However," he conceded, "we ought to have conveyed our intentions more effectively. If I were afforded the opportunity to elucidate to the people of Kenya the implications of the finance bill and its potential benefits for them, I believe that every Kenyan would support my standpoint." The recent confrontations mark an unprecedented occurrence in the country's history since gaining independence from Britain in 1963. On Saturday, a modest assembly gathered at Uhuru Park in downtown Nairobi in response to a call issued through the media. Following a session of singing, candlelighting, and waving Kenyan flags, the demonstrators voiced their chants while proceeding past the hospital where several injured protesters were receiving medical care. The protesters disbanded peacefully towards the late hours of the afternoon. There are additional videos from Kenya that I believe you may find appealing.
There's the call for RUTO must go, right? So this is beyond reject finance bill. It's about, no, go. You, your ideologies, your thoughts, we don't have that trust in you. I've just alluded to that. Legally, what does that mean? I had to go back to the Constitution and had a chat with Bob Mkangi, who is a lawyer who's appeared severally on various stations. And I think the conversation we had is, what are the terms for the Constitution allowing for power change? So there's voluntary resignation, which I don't know about you. I don't see RUTO voluntarily resigning. My stance is I'm with the majority of the people. The dispensation must go because it's not serving anyone. If he does, fine. If he doesn't, there's also the impeachment. But that has the responsibility of the National Assembly first. I do not also see a majority of our lawmakers impeaching President Ruto, right? Because I think we have a history of sycophancy and all of these elements that mean people are not ready to stand up against the president. I could be wrong, but these are just my thoughts, guys. So you will share what you're able to in the comments below. I'm learning, you're learning, and I'm just incredibly curious about how we can move forward and what we need to keep in mind. And then there's also the low-hanging fruit. For me, start with the people who are abusing office, right? We have somebody who brought in fake fertilizer or something that just can't help in our growth for agriculture. And for a decision like that to be made, it means it passed through the hands and signatures of many people, right? So we have abuse of office over and over and over again, things that are not double-checked, things that are not confirmed, and then you suddenly find yourself with a situation where, hey, wait a minute, we're dealing with something counterfeit. So I think I feel like the president needs to take a stand. If he's able to make an example of people who are abusing office,